Hello everyone, and we are back with another episode, and this one's a little bit different. So I actually entered a little sort of paint a story challenge from a local podcast here, and from Thoughtless Casual Gaming, and I thought I'd give it a crack. And I don't normally enter these competitions because I like to just go at my own pace and have my own, time of doing things, but this was interesting. You got to pick a couple of models, or it could even be one model, and you had to get it painted. But the thing is, you at the end of it, when you entered your entry in, you actually had to have a story with it, and I chose to do a poem. So these are my two little guys that I chose to do. So much character in them, and then it was so much fun. But as soon as I saw these little gnomes that I had in my backlog, I was like, straight away, I need to get these guys down. So these are my chosen guys for the project, and let's start planning and getting underway. So with this part here, I wanted to plan it out. So I honestly thought that this was going to be maybe half the size of what it turned into be. Sorry, it's like, so this here was supposed to be a narrow channel for these two dwarves coming out of like a rocky cave entrance or something like that, but it turned into its own beast, as they always do. It absolutely turned into its own beast, and I found this big wooden circle. Now this was, I've got a fair few of these at home, and whenever I see them, I'm like, oh, that's like probably the perfect little outlay I want to use for this. So I was like, well, okay, let's just give this a go. That's my template, that's what I'm working off. And I originally had the gnomes walking through a cave entrance. As you can see, that developed into a mining cart sort of situation of them riding through the tunnels. So it's going to be very interesting to see where this goes. But it turned into a really fun project. As you can see here, so the main rails were just literally straight up long pieces. I think I had them left over from a fence someone made from some terrain, and I was like, okay, well, how do I convert these up? These are nice big long pieces, that's fine. Let's maybe just put down, we need the baseboards for these train tracks. So I was like, okay, well, let's get these. Let's go to the old routine of getting these old stirring sticks and placing them on top. And I wasn't sure how it was looking like more of a ladder, and I was like, oh, do I switch this out and do it on the other side as well and try and make it technical? But then once I flipped it over, it just felt so nice, and I was like, yeah, this is my little train track. And I was like, now I have to really go off it, so let's go that way. And obviously, to make it a little bit more realistic, etc., I do my old little hammering of the nails, and it just makes it look like you've got like little hammer nails inside. So sorry about the shaky camera as I whack my table. Fantastic. It was really fun to do. Once it started coming together with the train track, I was like, okay, I can sort of see where I'm going now. This is good. Let's keep on this. As you would have seen from my past videos, I normally, because I like working straight away, I do really like using super glue because it adheres straight away. But I needed a little bit of playtime with this because the end of the track wasn't going all the way to the end, and I needed to move in a piece at the end. So I was like, well, let's just maybe play with it a little bit more, making it a little bit more sturdy. If I need to change anything, I can swivel it around a little bit more. Like, the wood glue doesn't dry instant, so it gives us a little bit of time. And then it was time to crack into some really large rock pieces, or cave, large pieces of rock sticking out of the ground. So let's start carving some of that up. So when you start carving this stuff up, it's it's good to get an idea of what size you want, what height you want. I wasn't too sure how high I was going to go on this project, because I thought, well, it needs to be, there's going to be some airiness, there's going to be a lot of, it's like going to be like a bit of a barren cavern with trains going, with these tracks going through. I wanted to have a sort of like an airy feel, but not too big that it would make it just too awkward to transport, look at, or, you know, I wanted to get the feeling. So I got a bunch of different cuts, and I thought, look, let's just play around with this, cut them to shape, and then just do a little bit of sculpting around the sides so they weren't too sharp on the areas. And it actually came up pretty good. They all look like forgotten, lost rock pieces from a past time, or, you know, they used to be something. And this little tool here that I found in my sculpting set, this was really cool. I call it the plucker. It is the greatest little foam plucker I've found, and what it does is it just literally, you know, you just hook it in. It's got a bit of a hook into it, so you put it into the foam and you just pull it straight out, and it makes these beautiful little like holes that ended up being really scratchy and different and ruinous. I was like, well, that's perfect. It's going to make all my rocks look really deformed. So the rocks don't look, they look really like, I want to say like semi-unnatural, but then they've been there for a long time. So that's what I started going with. I'm like, okay, let's just play on that. And then obviously I had to rough it up, so we get the grit in there, and to make it really look, you know, gritty and sandy, and then, you know, eventually cover the whole piece. And this is where your wood glue comes in really handy. It's such a good versatile glue for this. You can do your wood, you can do your foam, you can do your grit, you can do, you know, a bit of everything. It can be a sealer for your other things as well. It can seal in your foam and things. And as you can see, it makes it look really, really rough. And the this primer here I'm using from Wattle is it's just an undercoat, primer, and it worked really well. So this part here, I wanted the little cart to look fairly like, you know, natural going down the railroad. So I was like, okay, what do I use? I found this old terrain grate looking thing. I was like, wait, that's like a bottom of a grate of a you know, like a little cart, little mining cart. So why don't we use that for the bottom? Then I got my old sticks and things. And I smacked together. I put a horn in there because I thought, well, they're going down the caves, they need a horn. You don't know what they're battling. They've got some shields on the side. You've got a spear there as well, just in case, for a lucky backup. And it turned out really beautiful when I undercoated it and started giving it that dry brush of bringing the colours to life. It actually came up really, really nice. So that was great. I had a little upset. I ran out of a water bottle. I was like, okay, let's just make our own. Oh, and here we go with the first grey, and then as you start dry brushing, it really starts coming alive. So I wanted to go like a bit more of a contrasty tone over this, so I did a fairly heavy dry brush with everything on top with multiple layers of grey, and then I got my contrast and brown and went over the wood pieces with contrast. So it actually worked out pretty well. And as you go, you dry brush different layers of grey, slowly going lighter and lighter, and then once you put your contrast over top of that, obviously it just makes the darker areas get a darker brown, whereas the lighter areas just come through that translucent contrast, and yeah, it really comes to life. But this little cart was really fun to work with, super fun to work with. The grate came alive, it just looks really fun. It's so much fun. And then putting the colours on the shields and everything, yeah, you'll see it pop and come alive. It's really lovely. now we get into the nitty-gritty of the terrain, and this is a part I really love. So just coating those baseboards there, so the planks for the railway cart, and then once we finished up doing that, we really start getting into the greys and coating. So I left the back sides. I had to figure out where the cart is coming from, where the light source will be coming from, and now he's going to be holding a light going through the mining. So I place the cart down and I try and think of where the light will be hitting, of where I'll be going. This is my first attempt at any sort of like OSL, so I'm a bit nervous to see how this is going to go, but I thought if I just get an area where I can see the cart is, and I can start highlighting from there and dry brushing of where the hot light actually will be hitting. And you got to think about, the light isn't right under the cart or right close to the cart, because obviously the cart is a light blocker itself. This coat here really made the rocks pop and come alive. That was really fun to see. And as you can see, the darker areas away from the cart, if it's really dark and they can't see the cart at all, you tend to be black. And then if there's like a light that could be ricocheting or coming off another rock or another light piece, that gets a light dry brush. And then as we start getting closer and closer, we start getting into that skin tone. So I've chosen a skin tone for my very top coat of these rocks here before I do the yellow enhancement. So this the flesh tone here, just, it's not obviously a natural rock color, but the flesh tone adds a lighter color from the OSL, from the rock, if a light was hitting it at night. So that's where I've come up with that color. And as from the outside edge, you can't really see too well, but the I've gone a bit too fast on that one. But yeah, the rock areas away from it tend to be darker, and then as we get closer to the actual thing, we go from there. As you can see, look at how much character are in these models. It's so cool. They were so much fun to paint. But of course, doing OSL, after I've done that, I now have to murder him and I have to do a dry brush over top, and oh, you feel like you're just destroying a model when you do this, but you're trying to get that effect right, and you have to do it. So it's to start off with some light greys and, you know, dry brushing up and into the light yellow source of these the glow effect that we want for this deep cavern to really give off that feel. So yeah. Now, as I'm going here with the light greys, and I'm starting to get into that lighter fleshy tone colour now for the dry brushing, it feels like if I was better, I think I should use an airbrush. But I don't have an airbrush yet. I know it's really weird, it's really shocking, but I'm a sort of a dry brusher, so I'll have it my attempt here. So as I'm trying to get the tops down, just trying to hit those light areas. So the light grey is hitting the areas where you know, it's a little bit more out of focus and not really in the direct light, and then the top down from the yellow is where the yellow shine is actually coming from this little light torch bell from up top. So it's a bit different, but we're having a crack. We're having a crack. I got to keep telling myself we're having a crack. Let's go. So that was really fun. It did start coming to how I wanted. I needed a bit more focus around that area, which was cool. And then what really made it stand out though, what really made it come alive, is when I did start hitting these rocks with the light source. That sort of really made it pop, because then you've actually got like the lantern light coming off the rocks rather than just having grey light or things like that. So he was behind his counterpart, so he was fairly covered in a glow, which it did feel quite strange, but I'll be working on this technique bit by bit. So in some of the areas I actually did take a fine point and just highlighted a few key little notch areas, so it was a little bit more revealing than the previous was. I got him in and I wanted to just see where the light would be hitting. So obviously under him's not really being hidden. Okay, that's like shadows and things, so I've got to hit the bumps and grooves where the light will be hitting. So this was a bit of a challenge, but I must say it was quite a fun challenge once it was done. Now this little twisty turn here, I didn't know what I was doing, I don't know how to fix it, so enjoy the little turntable. Okay, that's my little turntable editing bit, and every time I tried to fix it, I ended up just smashing it. But here is the reveal. And that's another video done. Thank you so much for watching and supporting just by watching. It's really cool. And if you want to support me further, I do have I'm starting my online store as well. So if you want to jump on there, I'll put the link in the description of the video as well. So that's like a little small place that people can buy hobby supplies and things from, which is really cool. Thank you so much for your support, and I'm hoping to see you more regular now with more content coming, and I'm very excited for the next step, so thank you so much.